Hi guys, my name is Kumarshivam Singh and my roll number is 39. I'm an SE E&TC students and today we are going to talk about different problem statements in data analytics. These questions were given by my mentor, Professor Harshali Mani, and let us see the different statements and how we can tackle them. So these are the overview of the questions. So we'll be addressing each of the questions one by one. So the first question is write the program that prints the integer from 301 to 400. But for multiples of 3, print your name instead of number. And for the multiples of 5, print your surname. For the numbers which are multiples of both 3 and 5, print your name and your surname. So let us see how we can solve it. So in order to understand this problem, let us uh, revise some prerequisites which we need to solve this particular problem statement. So again, the two main concepts which are going to be used in this question is conditional statement and loops. So conditional statements can be defined as a set of parameters which are actually set gate with a code. So in order for you to enter through the gate, you have to type the correct code, right? So in order for the process to work, or in order for the process to work, you need to satisfy the parameter set by the conditional statement. So there are three conditional statements. It is if statement, if else statement, and else statements, which are again the three statement complement each other. So one, if you want to enter the building, so there are three gates. You can imagine there is one if gate, there is one else if gate, and there is one else gate. So in order for the process to completely start, you have to either satisfy one parameter in order to get to one objective, or all the parameters in order to satisfy a particular criteria. Again, loops are nothing but a tool to iterate a particular or repeat a particular process, which again loops are further divided into two parts: while loops and for loops. So again, for the loop, so there is a lot of confusion which people have. When should we use for loops and when should we use while loops? So the main distinction between for loops and while loops is that for loops you know the number of iteration, the number of times you are going to repeat a particular process. So this is the reason why we are using for loops, because in the question, as you can see, 301 to 400, so we know the number of iterations which are going to be required in order to solve this problem. So let us look at the program which is going to help us solve this problem. So again, so I am using for statement. So for I in range 301 to 400. Then we are going inside the conditional statement. If I is divisible by 0 as well as 5, will print both name as well as surname. But if this does not satisfy the criteria here, we'll go down to the next conditional statement. So if it is not divisible by if it is divisible by 3, we know that the remainder would be 0, right? And it is not divisible by 3, therefore the remainder is not equal to 0. So we'll just only print my name. In the next statement, uh, if it is not divisible by 3 but it is divisible by 5, so we'll print my surname, else we'll be just printing the numbers. So for example, here 301 does not satisfy any criteria, so else print I, therefore we are printing 301, 302. Then for example 303, which is not satisfying the first criteria but satisfying the second criteria, so it would be printing kumarshivam. So in the fifth 305, which is not divisible by 3 but divisible by 5, so here you will just have my surname. For example 3015, where uh, both uh, both the criterias have been satisfied. It is divisible by 3 as well as it is divisible by 5. Therefore, Kumar Shivam Singh, the whole name has appeared. So this was the first problem statement. So let us understand what the let us look what the second problem statement is. Data wrangling. So data wrangling is a very key aspect of data analytics and data analytics. So the key steps in data wrangling is data acquisition, where you acquire data from different. It might be Google Form or any other resource for that matter. You join different numerous datas and you clean the particular data. So cleaning is the process through which you find out the aim of the particular data set. So either you're finding a particular correlation between age and gaming, or some correlation in your data set. So data cleansing helps you to achieve that particular aim. Enriching and validating are also an important aspect of data wrangling, where enriching is the process where you provide an extra information, and validation is a process where you validate the info you already have on the data set. Now, the application of data wrangling, we know it decreases the time spent on data preparation for analysis, quickly understands the business value of our data, allows analytics team to utilize the customer behavior of data types. So data wrangling, what it has done is that it made the whole complex data set into a refined data set. So now we can find different correlation. For example, in COVID, we were able to find the day or the month when the COVID-19 is going to peak. That was due to data wrangling and data estimation. So it powers the data analyst to find out data trends. So again, handling missing values in data wrangling. This is the third question. So for example, a data set has been given. So there are three ways to tackle a data set. Handle the missing data, which we have. So we can either delete the whole missing value, create a separate model to handle missing value, and statistical method, mean, median, or mode, on which we'll be focusing upon. So here, the second, we know how to delete data, so I'm not delving into that particular aspect. So how you create a particular separate model. So for example, a particular table has been given where we have F1 rows, F2 row, F3 row, F4 row, and a data is missing. So in order to get the data F1, we form a model. So a model can be based on a certain algorithm with respect to the data which has been given. It can vary from data to data, from person to person, from approach to approach. So if we have to create a model such that if we put F2, F3, and F4, we'll get the value of F1 back with the help of model. But the problem here arises is that what if the values of F2, F3, and F4 are also not given? So we won't be able to get the data of F1 correctly, or the estimation would be quite high. So in order to solve this problem, the most common and the most useful way to solve or to handle missing data is statistical methods, whether it be mean, median, or mode. So we know mean is average, right? So we take the average of F1, and whatever the average we have, we put it in F1 back. So median. So we arrange the data in ascending or descending order, and we take the middle value and put it in F1. And mode is nothing but the number of times a value has been iterated is given preference. For example, here 30 has iterated 2 times, so it would be given precedence in F1. So now let us take a look into the example of handling missing data. Yeah. So the data which I have taken here is the data of Titanic. So we know that in the Titanic, many people actually died, and the data of the people dying and the age of the people who had died in that particular incident was not known, because it was quite a long back, right? And the data was quite manipulated, and people were not found. So the aim of our the aim of this particular project is to find the age. So, for example, here you can see nan values. So, we'll be finding the nan values of ages in this particular. So, here we are again importing pandas, numpy, matplotlib, seaborn, and here again we are reading the particular data CSV file. Here we are just for some values we are using head. Now, in order to find out the number of data which is missing with the help of statistical method, we'll be using heat map. So we are using seaborn with heat map, and again null should be its value in order to get if there is no value given. And again white, I don't need white tables, that's why I've taken false. And camp is nothing but the color which I have chosen. So as you can see, there are different dashes which represent the number of datas which are missing. So in order to find the data, we'll be investigating the data in different aspects. So one of the aspect in which we'll be investigating the data would be with the help of the number of people who survived and the number of people who did not survive. So again, I'm using seaborn here, wide grid behind, and I'm using count plot. X-axis is survived, and y-axis is nothing but count. And the color which I've used is red and blue. So now you can see that the number of people who died, which is dependent by 0, is more compared to the number of people who lived. So again here, as you can see, here I've again segregated on the basis of sex. So more females actually survived the Titanic incident because they were given precedence along with children. So as you can see here, the women have survived more. Sorry, the men has given their life more, as you can see from 0, and the female have lost less life compared to the male ratio. And as you can see, the female have survived more compared to the male ratio as such. So again here we have used, so there were different classes, right? When the Titanic sank, there was first class, second class, and third class. So the people who were in third class were evacuated the last. So the number of casualty figure of the third class were large. So when we segregate in that particular aspect, so the number of people who died were majorly from third class, and the people who survived were from first class. So again, on the basis of age, if we again using this plot, again darkened color, if we use it, therefore we'll get the range of people who have died. So majority of the people died from 20 to 30 because they were from P class. So now the investigation part is over. I know now I'm taking P class as the class section, the class idea as the main concept. So I know the majority of death were due to were in the third class. So now again I have taken a box plot which gives me the mean. So for example, in the first tier, the mean age of the people who died was around 37. In second class, it was around 29. In third class, it was around 24. So that is how I'm going to now change the data. So again, I'm using age and P class. So if again age is null, if we don't have the value, again if P class is equal to 1, return would be 37, which is again P class first tier, then we are replacing it with 37. If it is from second tier, sorry, we are replacing the value with 29. And if we are replacing by third tier, we'll be replacing it by 24. So now if we use heat map again, you can see that the number of missing data have been filled. So this is a particular aspect. And the second aspect of this question is understanding what is normalization. So normalization is a part of scaling. So scaling is done in order to simplify a particular data. For example, in order to make a data universal, for example, height somewhere is calculated in feet, inches, or centimeters or meters. So in order to universalize the data, So we have to remove the criteria of units. So normalization and standardization is a process. So what normalization is does that it converts the range of numbers from only 0 to 1. So this is the formula which is used. X normal is equal to x minus x minimum upon x max minus x minimum. So normalization is an important part of scaling, as we have. So let us see how it is used in a program. So here I have taken normalization with min max scalar. You can take a any there are numerous way you can implement normalization. This is just one aspect of it. Again, I'm doing scaling, fit transform, the train which I've given the name to type CSV file, and the age. So now as you can see, when I run, the arrays of age is between 0 to 1. It is 0.27, 0.47, 0.32, 0.43. So replacing the months and the dates with just a particular number, particular number which can easily be accessed. So now this was the third aspect of the question. Now the fourth aspect, what is data visualization? Data visualization can be defined as a tool through which we can represent a particular data set in a pictorial form, whether it might be bar graphs, whether it might be histogram. So for different data set, there are different tools or different way of representing them. So for example, small data is usually analyzed with the help of a bar graph, histograms, and big data is usually analyzed with kernel density and correlation metrics. So again, different representation for small data. So bar charts are, as we know, is usually used for quantities of different categories or groups. There is a certain amount of interval which is decided, and on that basis we have a x parameter and a y parameter on which bar graph is plotted. Histogram is a similar type of graph which is quite similar to bars chart, but the main difference is the interval aspect of it. So here, histogram, there are different bins which represent frequencies. So it tells us about frequency distribution, skewness of a particular data, and so on. And for big data, we use kernel density was actually quite used in order to predict the data in COVID and when we would hit a peak in India. So kernel density basically in a given time frame or a given parameter, with the help of a color, with the help of a chart, tells us the density of a particular scenario in a particular time frame. And again, we a box plot, we have seen how it has helped us to find out the mean, median, and mode through which we were able to change the data. So these are the basic concepts of data visualization, which is used for big data as well as small data. So again, these are the references which I would highly recommend. Python for Data Analysis, Wes McKinney, is an amazing book which I would highly recommend you guys to check it out. And these are the two sites which can help you out in data visualization and data wrangling. Again, thank you so much, guys, for your time, and thank you very much.